Hey, I'm Eric Haugen. This is my website, my Patreon, my Instagram. Like my videos and subscribe to my channel. If this content is enriching for you, today we're going to talk about the Mixolydian mode. We have previously talked about all sorts of stuff. I'm not going in a linear fashion with the modes. We're just going by the ones that I think are the coolest, the ones that show up the most, so sorry. All right, here we go. Let's stay in the parent key of G major. Join me. Here's a G bar chord. Play a G major scale. Technically, that's the first mode. That's Ionian. And we also know by now that, oh, all the modes are is if you start that scale on not the first note and go again till you get to the next one. We talked about Dorian. And now we're going to jump to Mixolydian because it's the next grooviest, most ubiquitous, pervasive mode. So that's actually starting on the fifth note. G, A, B, C, D is the fifth note in the key of G. So we were in the key of G, we started on the fifth note. Let's go to the open position to really see it. There's our open position G major scale, you should know that. Started on a D, until we get to D again. I love that. I love how, I should have said this in the first one, what modes are kind of like those works of, those sculptures where from one angle it looks like one thing and then as you rotate around it becomes a different thing. That's what I think about when I think about modes. You're like, oh, this is, you know, this way it's a face, this way it's a car, or oh, it's a transformer. And so my way of dealing with modes is we ask questions. We have 4 modal questions we ask whenever we're dealing with a mode, and the first one is, all right, what's the parent key of this mode in this scenario? As in, like, you know, this mode, in the case we're in G major ultimately. And that's going to be helpful because that tells us what chords are in the key of G major. And then also that means also what notes. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And then though, oh, but this is built off of the fifth note. So question 1. What's the parent key of D Mixolydian? It's actually G major, same DNA, but we're looking at it this way, so we call it D Mixolydian. And then the next modal question we ask ourselves, and this can be intuitive, and there's certain things that give it away, is this ultimately a major type scale or a minor scale? Like, does this sound major or minor? So here's D Mixolydian again. It's major. You know, the 2 giveaways are it's built off of the fifth note, which is a D major chord, so it's built off of a major chord, that's obvious. And also if I look at the intervals, D, E, F sharp, that's a major third. So ultimately this is a major scale of some variety, just, you know, just mutated in a groovy way. And then the next question, question 3, we ask ourselves is, all right, and this is the important one, in what way is this different than a standard major scale? So to know that we need to compare, we're going to say, yeah, open position. What's a regular, if I was just playing a proper D major scale, boy golly, what would that be? Has a C sharp. So Mixolydian tasty. Has 1 note different. First note, second note, third note, fourth note, fifth note, sixth note. Oh, shnikes. That's a flat 7. So Mixolydian is just a major scale with a flat 7, with flat 7th degree. And again, that's useful to us because this is core to the way I think of things, Haugenomics. We don't need to memorize 12 new forms of Mixolydian if we want to be good at Mixolydian. I'll say it again. We don't need to memorize 12 new forms of Mixolydian if we want to be good at Mixolydian. All we have to do is modify our major scales that we know already into the Mixolydian scale. So wherever we know a major scale, we got to look down at it and know how to flat the 7. And that's why, again, we should know our pentatonics. There's 5 shapes of them, major or minor. That's how I see the guitar. That's how I see the fretboard. That's how I'm able to do all the fancy YouTube things you see me do. And so, all right, let's again, shut up, Eric, show me what to do. 10th fret, that's a D, right? D major scale. By the way, there's slow down options in YouTube. I say it in every video. Over here, depending on what device you're on, the same, gadget that adjusts your playback quality can slow it down to 3/4 speed. Spacebar will pause on a keyboard and arrows go forward and back. Right, there's regular major. Flat the 7, first note, second note, third note, fourth note, fifth note, sixth note. There he is. All right, second octave. First note, second note, third note, fourth note, fifth note, sixth note. Oh, crap. The 7th note would have been there, that C sharp. We're going to move forward to get that C natural. Side note, Mustang guitars, which I know that, I love my old Mustang here. They're very crowded this high up on the fretboard. For those of you who are watching Eric play and look up to me, thank you. That's silly. Know that these are actually quite difficult to play up high. It's tiny. Want to know the truth? My greatest guitar is my Telecaster. If someone put a gun to me and said you can only keep one, it would be my Telecaster. Thankfully, that's never happened. So yeah, there it is again. So there's that position shift. And that's how I think of it. Wherever I know a major scale, which I know them all. There's another D major scale. I can do it open. Wait. That song's, does it get Mixolydian? Does it do it? I think actually I think Over the Hills and Far Away does skew a little bit Mixolydian. So that's the reason I think of it that way. We showed that it's a major scale with a flat 7, which makes it basically, the funky major, Jerry Garcia. Mixolydian is a big part of Jerry's sound, and I mean Richard Lloyd. I don't remember Marquee Moon right now. Can't remember, but yeah, it's a great way to be major without being so properly major. What a win-win. And then the fourth modal question that we have to know, though, is we can't just do these any old time, any old place, all the time, wherever we want. They have to actually jive with the context, which honestly, that's true of all licks that you see people play on the internet. It's look at this lick, but you're like, yeah, but when should I use this lick? We never just listen to somebody play some shreddy thing by itself. It's in a song. So let's talk about And every mode essentially has certain giveaway grooves or chord progressions that you're like, that, you know, we talked about, oh, those are Dorian grooves. Is this mic aimed at me? Okay. Those are Dorian grooves. And then we'll talk about some Mixolydian ones. So the first thing we would say is, and I should have said this in the Dorian one, you can always throw a mode if the thing is just static, just a droning. Then, you know, that's just all D. I could throw any mode I want if the band is just going. You know, I could, here, I'll throw some Mixolydian. That also means Mixolydian is very special because it also gets thrown in blues a lot, because like classic blues, and this is important, as long as it's not a minor blues like B.B. King Thrill Is Gone, don't throw Mixolydian at that. But you know, if as long as it's like 7th chord, because that's going to have the 7th, you hear so many. That's straight out of Red House. I'm doing it in D, but it's like Mixolydian. Little flat third from blues. That's, you know, standard blues. That's such a big deal, that crossover of Mixolydian and blues. My advice for working on that is to always start a lick with a blues lick, you know, and then end with the opposite. That's the way I think to cross over. That's one of the main ways you hear Mixolydian. But now let's talk about some of the others. By the way, the intonation is squirrely as hell up here on this guitar. Big surprise. Or the phrase I've been saying all 2020 and 2021 is, I can't pretend to be surprised anymore. I just go, oh, okay. My intonation's squirrely? What else is new? The other one, so that give, you know, giveaway progressions will always have the note that's interesting, you know, in the thing. So Neil Young, Cinnamon Girl, let's talk about it. D, A minor, C, we'll call that G. So that if we were, you know, when you see a progression, you're like, you always guess at first, like, okay, let's say whatever the first chord is the 1. All right, even though secretly we kind of know we're pulling from G major because we're starting on D and it's rotating around D. Like, that's 1. A is the 5, but it's a 5 minor if we're Mixolydian. And that's significant because it has that C in it. I think Grateful Dead, Althea has that in it. I'm actually, like, don't know Grateful Dead very well. And don't try and tell me about Grateful Dead because I've been abused like deadheads. I've been sat down and like made to listen to Grateful Dead for hours on end. No, Eric, listen to this. Listen to what Jerry's doing here. And I'm like, it's fine, it's good. I'm glad, you know, no shade on the Grateful Dead. They meander too much for me. I do like Europe Live 72. But I've also had deadheads really like, listen! And that's never going to work, man. It's only going to make you be like, stop forcing it on me. So I don't know Grateful Dead very well. Anyway, back to Cinnamon Girl, which I do know well. There goes, what, 20,000 subscribers? me be clear. I have my musical taste, but I would never tell somebody else what is good or what is bad. Please enjoy what you enjoy and continue enjoying it. I'll leave it at that. So again, now we have the flat 7 chord, because again, then this is a big deal. The flat 7 chord. This is throughout classic rock. And then it hits a G, this is tricky. Usually, you know, in a modal progression, it would never hit the chord that is the parent key, because that messes with our ear and makes us think that we're in that key. Because once we hear that G, our brain goes whoosh, it does all the calculations like, oh, we're in G, this is a 5, 2, 4, 1. No, it's not. It's a modal progression. And that has to do with this thing of, it's not just about the raw data. It's not just about chords. I've done my homework, you know, I understand chords in the key. It's also, you have to listen to how the melody is moving and what the tonal center feels like. In the case of Cinnamon Girl, it feels like D. I'm not in the tuning, so I can't do the riffy bit. Wait, there was something else that I wanted to talk about, tonal centers. Oh, and the other little thing is that very often with rock and roll and alt rock and roots rock, which is all I'm really worried about, most songs are only modal for a section of the song. And then when they have a pre-chorus or a chorus, it's going to move into either minor or major, a more normal key. It's very rare that a rock song stays in that mode throughout. Even like Miles Davis' Kind of Blue, which is, you know, very, you know, agreed upon, you know, great classic jazz record. And if you're only going to have one jazz record, that would be the one to listen to. Even that, you know, is very modal, but it will move too. Because I'm thinking, well, we won't worry about it. I won't digress too far. Now, so yeah, 5 minor is Mixolydian, and if it has a flat 7 chord, it's Mixolydian. When I do these mode videos, like I've dreaded doing these because it's like there's just so many questions and so many ways that they can get confused. I always feel like Inigo Montoya. Let me explain. No, let me sum up. There's too much to explain. So I hope that this is helpful. Let's look at some other modal examples. For whatever reason, I referenced Baker Street in the last one. So let's look at the verse of Baker Street. Is A major. Which is funny, that riff is D minor and it's an iconic saxophone riff. Other iconic saxophone riff, Careless Whisper, also an iconic D minor saxophone riff. But anyway, let's look at that verse. Baker Street, the verse, the song is in several different keys, but the verse is in A major, right? A to D over A, that's 1 to 4. And then E minor to G to D. So yeah, that sent alarms. When I saw that, like I'm cruising in A, 1 to 4, 1 to 4, I get to that E minor, that's a 5 chord that's now minor. Ooh, interesting. That's why I'm like, oh dude, he went Mixolydian. G is the flat 7 chord in A now. And then back to, interestingly enough, now to a D, which, you know, I could call 4. And a little G over D. Check that. 0433. And yeah, and then. Used to think that it was so easy. Used to think that it was so easy. Another key change for that pre-chorus. Anyway, we won't worry about that, but the verse of Baker Street is Mixolydian. The other big one throughout classic rock is, you know, if you're in the key of E, Rolling Stones, Sympathy for the Devil. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I sit in my apartment and shoot YouTube vids, and I publish them every Friday. So that's a 1 chord, right? But then D, here's a flat 7, and then the 4 and 1, and you know, your brain will go, Eric, wait, those 3 chords are in the key of A, aren't they? Yeah, they are. That's the parent key, though. Because again, you have to listen to it and be like, that A doesn't feel like home in Sympathy for the Devil. E feels like the tonal center. And then it gives it away by going to, pleased to meet you. Like and subscribe to my channel. So silly. But what's puzzling you is how the Mixolydian mode works. Yeah, so you see a lot of that, you know, the E, D, A thing, that's throughout classic rock. You know, Gloria, Gloria, Dirty Water. Same riff, you know. Oh, Tom Petty, You Wreck Me. Oh, and also Tom Petty, You Don't Know How It Feels. It's get to the point, get to the point, and roll. Oh no, it's not Mixolydian. Oh no, yeah, in another joint. Oh, you don't know how it feels. You don't know how it feels. You don't know how it feels to be a YouTube creator. All right, though, I like to give homework assignments, though. So my homework assignment is, let's go back. Let's do one of the Mixolydian progressions. We'll just do a 1 to a 5 minor. Let's pick a time signature and groove. Let's do 6/8, just because I feel like it. Go back to key of D. So 6/8, 1 bar of groove, 1 bar of fills. All right, hold on. Watch Eric struggle in real time with his vintage Mustang. I like that one. And yeah, you can bet Richard Thompson, yeah, you know, the opening of Calvary Cross is a lot of Mixolydian. I know there's like a... definitely British folk stuff will definitely skew Mixolydian also. I'm going to leave it at that for today. I rambled for like a half hour. Thank you to everybody so much who supports me via Patreon and all the buying my downloads and the other ways. How else? Oh, booking lessons and spending time with me on their computer screen. That's how I make my living. Notice I don't put ads on my channel because I hate them. It's funny, I just saw YouTube, I think, changed its policy, though. They reserve the right to put ads wherever they want now. Ha! Yeah, I went over a half hour, so it cut out. Again, thank you. I think we were just talking about ads and stuff like that. It cut off. Anyway, yeah. as Bill and Ted would say, be excellent to each other. That includes yourself too. I'll be back next week with some Elliott Smith. We're going to do, I've arranged Between the Bars. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you next Friday at noon.